Culture gaps. Culture gaps. Culture gaps. Culture gaps. Culture gaps.
Welcome to Culture Gaps, the podcast. A podcast.
God damn it.
Where we talk.
Start over. Start over.
Welcome to Culture Gaps, the podcast where we talk about movies that we haven't seen, famous movies.
Movies that people loved, probably, that we didn't think we would.
Yeah, movies that for one reason or another we just never watched, even though they're very popular and things that we've probably heard about many times.
Sometimes we're really surprised. We change our minds. We think these movies are good. But most often, so far, I would say I get why I didn't watch it. Right?
Yeah, I think it's it's split. It's 50-50
Maybe it's 50-50.
so far.
Yeah.
But this episode, we're going to be talking about a movie that neither of us have seen.
Your favorite movie.
It's not my favorite movie. It's not a movie I've seen.
The listener's favorite movie of all time.
Yeah. A League of Their Own.
A League of Their Own, starring someone I don't know, because I don't know anything about this movie. I literally know nothing. I don't know what it's about. I don't know who's in it.
Wow.
Like, I couldn't even think of the cover of this movie. I don't know if I'm getting it confused
crazy.
with, like, 50,000 League, whatever, League Under the Sea.
Yeah, A League of Their Own is the same thing as 50,000. No, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So.
I don't even know the number of that movie because I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But here's the point. I couldn't tell you what genre of movie this is. Is it a romance? Is it an action movie? Is it a little bit of both? Like Top Gun?
Boy.
Who knows?
Well, now I'm wondering how much I should tell you. Because I know a lot about this movie from its reputation.
Well, we're going to have to say something in this intro. So,
yeah.
I think it would be fun if I pull up the cover and looked at it.
So, I will tell you, before you do that,
Okay.
I'll tell you at least one person who I know is in this movie that you like.
Oh, I'm excited. Who is it? Wait. We did pick this movie on the premise that we wanted there to be more female main characters. Hopefully,
Right. We wanted to
that
find...
is the case.
Yeah, since our last few movies have been very dude-centric, we wanted something that would feature women more prominently.
Just to be clear, these are movies we chose not to see. So these Broy movies are ones that we didn't want to see.
Right.
I just want to make that clear. These aren't movies that we like and we're picking.
It's true. But, so A League of Their Own does feature a lot more women.
Is there a submarine?
There is not. Oh, my God.
A skyship?
I probably just should tell you what the premise of this movie is.
Okay, there's got to be a skyship, though, right? This is like a fantasy action movie. Maybe Nicole Kidman's the main character. Let me just describe what I think it is. Nicole Kidman's the main character on the skyship.
Yep.
Flies over Australia, probably.
Sure.
I want to say Wolverine's in it because of Australia.
Do you know when this movie came out?
Not at all. I'm going to guess.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman
80s.
was not. Yeah, there you go.
All right. So what you're telling me is I'm wrong. I know nothing about this movie.
Yeah, correct. As you said before,
I swear to God, if this is a sports movie, I'm going to be pissed.
So you looked it up then, if you brought that up. It is a sports movie. It's about baseball. It's about a women's league in baseball. I believe it's based on a true story, but that might not be true. It's a comedy as well. And the boy that I think you will know, that you will be happy about that's in it. Yeah, the boy.
The boy.
The boy.
Is it a boy in it, or is it a man?
Debatable.
Do you want? I'm going to 18.
Our viewers are screaming right now that I haven't said this name. It's Tom Hanks.
No way.
Tom Hanks.
Wait, why do you think I like Tom Hanks?
You've talked about it before.
I just think he's a nice guy, right? He's so endearing.
Sure, I think he's
It's my
boring
work
as
of the
shit.
night.
I don't care about him, but that's my hot
What?
take on Tom Hanks, I guess. I think he's boring, and I've never enjoyed him in anything.
You've never enjoyed Tom Hanks in anything.
He's
Your
fine.
favorite movie is not
He's
Captain Phillips?
but he's not. He's never been like, oh wow, Tom Hanks was so good in that.
Forrest Gump.
No, oh my god, please, come on.
Wow.
He's
Polar
not
Express.
good in that. Is he even in that? Or
He does like 10 voices and sings.
yeah. So it's about this movie is about a women's league in baseball. Tom Hanks
Castaway.
is the coach.
Castaway, Tom Hanks.
Yeah, he was in that movie.
Oh my God. Oh, I can't get over this.
So you do love him. This is my point. I knew you would be happy about him being in the movie.
He's in that Carly Rae Jepsen music video. You don't like that?
I
Saving Private Ryan.
yeah.
Saving Private Ryan?
These are
Big.
all movies he's been in. The Green Mile. Should we keep naming movies that Tom Hanks has been in, or what?
You don't love these movies? I get okay. I'll admit, fan of Tom Hanks. All right, let's move on.
Yeah. Okay.
I like Tom Hanks, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe he's boring, but maybe he's wholesome.
So this is a movie, a comedy with an all-star cast.
You just said you didn't like Tom Hanks. Okay.
I didn't say
who's
he
the lead?
wasn't a star. He's one of the biggest stars there is. I just don't love him.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there's also a lot of, obviously, this movie is mostly about the women because it's about a group of women starting a baseball team. Unfortunately, I don't know the women who are in this movie.
Really?
I think Whoopi Goldberg is in it.
Can I look at the cover?
Yes, you can look at the cover now.
All right, I'm gonna look at the cover. I'm gonna describe it to you. Let's both look at the cover.
I'll look at the cover too.
Yo, I've seen clips of this movie.
Yeah, I knew you knew of it. There's no way you have missed this. There's famous stuff from it, like there's no crying in baseball. That's from this movie.
Oh, my wife loves this movie.
Yeah. It's
Who's this person with that face that looks so familiar?
Madonna.
She does kind of look like Madonna.
No, it is Madonna is in this movie.
No way.
It says so on the Are you looking at the cover? It says Madonna.
Oh my God, it does. Oh, Gina Davis.
Yeah,
Her face
Gina
is
Davis.
so
Is
familiar.
the other one, yeah.
What is she in? Gina Davis.
That's a great question. I'm not really that familiar with her filmography, to be honest.
You should be. You call yourself a film buff and you don't even know Gina Davis movies.
Yeah.
You know what? I looked it up. It doesn't seem relevant at all.
Thelma and Louise,
Yeah.
The Fly.
You know what? Forget
Glow.
it. Forget I said this.
So yeah, A League of Their Own. I think at this point I've said everything that I know about it. I believe it's just a group of women want to start their own league. Tom Hanks sort of coaches them through it, is very impatient. I want to say he's somewhat misogynistic in this movie as well.
Tom Hanks?
His character.
Okay. Whew.
Yeah,
So-
Tom Hanks, the actor, was extremely misogynistic on set.
When you said all-star cast, were you reading the cover?
No, that was before I
It
pulled
literally on the top of the cover or the poster, I don't know the cover, it says an all-star comedy from the team that brought you big.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's also just a play on words with all-star, like baseball.
I know nothing about baseball. Am I gonna like this? I find baseball so boring.
I do as well. I think baseball.
Oh my God.
I think all sports are boring to watch, and baseball is the most
One of the
boring
worst
of all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The worst. No one's getting hurt in it ever. Like boring. So
It's kind of
this is
just like
interesting.
you swing the bat, and then everyone moves up one base, and that's kind of it.
Barely. Sometimes they do nothing. They just swing the bat, or just
Yeah.
it just goes by them, and they don't even swing the bat.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get sports in general, but
So let's just watch this freaking movie.
yeah,
We'll see what it's about. But let me bring us into the what do we call it?
the Spider-Verse.
Let's into the spider. Let's bring us into the segue here into the next segment.
Yeah.
I want to read the tagline of this poster.
Great, I love it.
This summer, Tom Hanks and the Rockford Peaches prove that a woman's place is at home. First, second, and third.
Oh boy, I hate that so much. I really hope that is not what we're in for with this movie.
I'm going to guess it's just like that.
I really hope it's not.
Oh, God. Well, here we go.
Let's go watch it.
Culture gaps.
Toy Story.
What?
I forgot to mention Toy Story. Tom Hanks.
Toy Story? Oh.
It's a Tom Hanks movie.
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't love Toy Story?
Another Tom Hanks. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, sure. Like, but that's not a great sign if that's the best Tom Hanks movie.
To be fair, it's like one of the best rated movies of all time. Like,
yeah, it's true.
It's Tom Hanks. It also has Tim Allen though, and I guess that means nothing.
Tom Hanks is not a bad actor. I just find him boring.
All right.
But this movie.
Oh, this is what I wanted to get into. Because this is Tom Hanks like you've never seen him before.
Yeah, he's playing against type. He's not the kind everyman that America loves.
No.
He's an asshole and he's disgusting.
And I love it. It was so good.
Did you? Yeah, I thought he was okay.
Oh man, I liked it a lot.
I did like him in this role. I thought he did a good job. I liked his mannerisms and the way he like scratches himself and spits in a disgusting way. Like, he really captures the feeling of this character. But I did find myself kind of wishing it were some like grizzled older character actor or something. Like, I don't know.
Man.
Like, imagine like Bob Hoskins in that role or something. I just feel like that would be a lot of fun.
Wow.
Tom Hanks is still a little bit of a pretty boy.
That's fair. I thought you were going to be all about it this time around.
Yeah.
It's good. So let's get into it. Overall impressions about this movie. We have seen A League of Their Own.
Yeah. We have now watched this movie.
People don't really say you've never seen A League of Their Own. Like, that's never been said to me.
No, that has been said to me for sure. Many times, actually. They're like, you haven't seen that? There's no crying in baseball? That's what people always say.
They do say that.
Are you kidding me? There's no crying in baseball? You never saw that?
The only person I ever know who references this movie is my wife, because this is one of her and her dad's movies together.
Yeah.
Because he's a baseball coach.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So they watch it all the time.
I will say this movie is fucking great.
I agree. I was so
loved
surprised.
it. Me too. I was absolutely shocked by how much I was blown away by this movie.
Well, I have two feelings about it. One, it confirmed that baseball is still the most boring sport there is.
For sure. Yeah.
And two, like, it's way more entertaining when it's a story about women. So
I totally agree. Yeah. I still don't care about baseball, but fortunately this movie doesn't require you to care about baseball.
No, not at all.
It's still really interesting just based solely on the characters, which, like, let's just talk about how amazing you get to see these characters so quickly, and they're all so distinct, and just immediately off the bat, you're like, oh, Kit is this like live wire, like scrappy little angry person. And, and then like Rosie O'Donnell is this brash, like Staten Island gal. And then, like Madonna is this sex pot, which is like, is always going out on dates and stuff. It's just like, I thought this movie was amazing, and the characters especially, and the way they're played just really endears you to the whole thing.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree on that one. I felt like this was like as packed as Wayne's World with stuff. Like, it felt dense to me. Like, things were moving quickly. They were going through so many different storylines and like touching on all these characters and all these different themes about how women are like treated and how society views them at the time, or still.
Yep, for sure.
And they delivered on all of it.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? This came out the same year as Wayne's World.
Did it really?
Yeah, and made less money.
Yeah, well, there's less party time.
Right. It's true.
It's more excellent, though.
It's less quotable. There are more. The only quote from the I guess there's like two quotes from this that are big. There's no crying in baseball, and then the other one was it's supposed to be hard. I feel like I've heard
Is that from this movie? I thought that was just something people say, kind of like counting cards.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's not from this movie.
It's so hard to tell where things come from when you don't see the things.
But yeah, I feel like because Tom Hanks says it's supposed to be hard. If it weren't hard, everyone would do it. I feel like I've heard people say that a lot of times before. Maybe it's just an aphorism and they wrote it into this movie, and I'm just giving this movie too much credit. I don't know.
What's funny is I have a ton of quotes written down in my notes.
Oh,
many.
Because this movie is so funny. It's genuine. I actually laughed out loud at this too. Unlike Wayne's World, which was like a gentle comedy, this was like I laughed out loud alone in my living room.
Oh man, yeah. So overall impressions, I laughed at this movie as well. Yeah. I also felt real sad at this movie at times.
Yep.
It was just like, felt good from beginning to end. It was well done.
Agreed.
Now, my expectations of the movie were that this was going to be some sort of action movie where Nicole Kidman is flying over Australia.
Right. And then you very quickly discovered that is not what this movie was. Very quickly.
When I saw that cover, I realized, oh crap, I've seen scenes of this movie before. Way more than I thought I had.
Yep. Because as you said, it's your wife's favorite movie that she watches with her dad all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've seen them watching it.
Fairly certain we were all watching it at Christmas like a year ago. But I was like on my phone, not watching it.
Yeah, you were just watching your phone, yeah. I feel like that is a testament to the power of this movie, that you could go in being like, I've seen this in the background and didn't like it, and you still loved it once you actually paid attention.
Yeah. This was very surprising for me because I did not want to watch this movie, even after I remembered what it was.
Right.
I was dreading it. I thought it was going to be real boring.
Yeah. So that is exactly why I avoided it. So my preconceptions for this were basically just it's a boring 90s baseball movie. And I think part of it is that I can't separate it from like Field of Dreams or Bull Durham in my mind, because I watched those when I was around the same age. And I feel like they're very similar movies just because they're all baseball, like inspiring stories. But yeah, actually watching this movie, I'm like, yeah, I don't think I've seen any of this before except for, a couple clips here and there. But it was just like amazingly funny and charming, and the performances were great, and I was invested in all the characters, and there's not like a whole lot in the way of plot or anything. It's kind of just like watching these women play baseball, and sometimes they have to like deal with financial difficulties or whatever, but those conflicts are resolved within like 10 minutes of them coming up usually.
Wow.
But it doesn't really matter because you're just like riding this wave of like the charisma of all the women in this movie who are so great in their roles.
So good. I have a lot of notes, Greg.
Yeah.
I want to get into it.
Let's start with some quotes. What's your top quote?
Okay, this whole section is called John Lovitz.
Okay, my top quote was from John Lovitz, so I love it.
Because, oh my God, did I love John Lovitz in this movie.
Me too. I fucking loved him. And I have some trivia about his role too. So.
His like deadpan misogyny in this, and like the ridiculous accent. With all his quotes, like every line were amazing. I was like,
he was born to play this kind of role, like with that kind of 1940s gangster voice. Like it's just like so perfect for him. The top quote I had from him was, "I need to go home and give my wife a little pickle tickle."
I wrote that down too. Oh, man, I had so many written down. I'm talking looky, no touchy. I don't know why I wrote that down. I don't think it was because it was funny. I think it was because I wanted to remember it.
It was just kind of gross. Yeah.
You can climb back under the cow and then so long milkmaids was funny from him.
Yeah. So here's a little trivia about John Lovitz in this movie. The role was written specifically for him, which I think makes a lot of sense because it's like hand in glove. But apparently he had a bigger role originally, and audiences only really responded to him when he was being mean. So they made another edit where they cut out every one of his lines except for the absolute meanest ones. And that's all they left in the movie was all of his meanest lines in the script. And audiences loved it. Yeah. Audiences like went ape shit and just died laughing at every single one of his lines. And it just turned out he worked better as a character when he was only being mean. And I agree. He's so good. So good. When he talks to the salesman in the train car and he's like, if I had your job, I'd kill myself. Like, yeah. And he's like, I gotta
And
stop.
then there's like,
he's like leaning out the window and puts his knee on a woman, and she's just like, excuse me, your knee. And he's like, what, you like it?
So the only disappointing part was that he just vanishes at
he's
that pickle
gone.
line.
After like 20 minutes, he never appears again.
Oh, man. Yeah, he just showed up, killed it, and then just peaced out on this one.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, my God. What an amazing, supporting actor kind of performance there.
Oh, yeah.
Steals every scene he's in, even though he's barely in the movie. It's like the first thing we had to talk about.
I know. Well, he said so many good things.
I also really loved Kit. I thought she was great. Like, even from the start, I just really loved her. She's so, like, scrappy.
You loved Kit. Wow.
I loved
You gotta be
her.
kidding me.
You hated her?
I wrote down Kit is the only unlikable character.
Wow.
And I said, this little sister is struggling, with her relationship with her big sister, and she's in the wrong, all the time. And then,
yeah, she is. Yeah,
this girl needs a fucking therapist, man.
She does. Yeah, it's true. She's very sensitive and has big emotions, and for sure, yeah,
Your sister's looking out for her
therapy
constantly.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know. I guess I just have a soft spot for characters like that.
Wow.
I don't know. She just came across as very sweet to me, even though, she is overly sensitive and blames people for things that are her fault.
I felt that she was just blinded by jealousy, and she was very childish. I did not get the same vibe as you. Wow.
I mean, she is kind of childish, but that's kind of what I found endearing about her. I loved her.
Wow.
For sure, more than Dottie. I think Dottie is the most boring part of this movie.
I actually said that too. Dottie is
she has her
they try to
moments.
make her too perfect.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
And
all the other characters are scrappy. I keep saying scrappy, but all the other characters are getting dirty. They're they're getting into it, and I feel like Dottie is always she always looks made up.
Yeah, always made up. Everything's effortless for her. Which I mean, to the storyline with Kit, that's the point.
Yeah,
she's supposed to be the perfect older sister.
Which,
and I mean,
that may also be part of why I empathized with Kit a little bit. It's Dottie is kind of annoyingly perfect.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that is the secondary theme of this movie, I think, because they start the whole movie off where Gina Davis is in old makeup. That is her in old makeup, right? It's not just someone who looks like her.
That's an older actress. They hired.
Really?
Yeah, they hired brand new actors to play everyone. However,
I thought she was the only one.
Gina Davis dubbed over the voice.
That's what was throwing me off. I'm
yeah.
I'm the voice is for sure her.
They didn't do that with everyone, but just with Gina Davis, they were like, "Hey, can you do a voiceover for this the older version of you?"
I was I literally wrote down Gina Davis in old makeup is the best old person makeup I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, because it was real.
It was real. Well.
Although I will say those the bookended sort of framing sequences that's like, takes place in like the 92 or whatever in present day when this movie came out. I just didn't care about that. I didn't need it. And when it came back at the end of the movie, I was like, no, the movie should have just ended. I don't need this.
We definitely don't need it.
The only exception being seeing Adult Stillwell.
I do love that they did Adult Stillwell.
That fucking little kid.
Oh man, I have so much about him.
Me too. I love that Madonna tried to kill him.
Yeah, and so happy that Tom Cruise threw that glove at him and knocked him over.
Tom Hanks.
What? I did it.
You did it.
Okay. For those at home.
We talked about it before this episode.
This exact issue. Before we started, is that we are going to call Tom Hanks Tom Cruise by accident.
It's just going to happen. We did so many Tom Cruise movies already.
And we're planning on more. And not only that,
God. Yeah.
This was like a Tom Cruise character. It wasn't a Tom Hanks character. It's throwing me off. It's true.
This is much more of a douchey asshole character.
Oh, man.
Not usually what Tom Hanks plays.
All right. So when Woody throws the glove at Stillwell and knocks him over, that's every parent's dream right there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. I literally had a note at one point that just said, I love all the abuse on this kid. He deserves it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. To be fair, his father is a complete asshole. But
oh my God, I know. I was getting so mad like when she comes, she's like, well, he says he's busy like looking for work in the paper, so he can't watch the kid. I'm like,
while
Jesus
she works.
Christ. Yeah, like also she's making $75 a week in this professional baseball league, right? That was what John Lovitz told the two sisters at the beginning of the movie. Mm-hmm. So I pulled up an inflation calculator because I was curious how much that is in 2022. That's the equivalent of $1,259 a week. That's more than I make right now.
Wow.
As an IT project manager living in Massachusetts, that's more than I make right now.
Damn.
That's what these women were making. $5,000 a month.
That really doesn't fit the theme of this movie. But this is is real.
That's like $60,000 a year in 2022 money.
Oh man, they were making bank.
Yeah, to play baseball professionally.
Man,
it's like, and I feel like that is part of why when they're faced with opposition, and it's like, oh, no one's really coming to these games, we're gonna have to call it off. And, Madonna is just like freaking out. Like, I can't go back to just like dancing on cabs. Like, I need, now that I've had a taste of getting paid to do what I love, and like $75 a week in 1943 is a livable wage. It's like a very livable wage. Like, of course, these women are going to, be like passionate about keeping this league going, not just because they love doing it, but because like they're getting paid enough money to live off just playing baseball.
Yeah. That was one of the moments that was kind of saddening to me, is the moments where they panicked. And there's a scene where, what's his name? Harvey Bars, is his name Harvey?
Yeah.
Is talking to
Gary Marshall.
And he's telling him that, the war is going to be over. We're winning. Like, this league's going to end. And that was just, like, super sad to me. Like, the thought that all these women's careers and lives are going to be just shot back to what they were before. That was a little depressing.
I agree. There are lots of moments in this movie that, are really frustrating. And
yeah,
I think that's part of what's, impactful about this movie is that they're telling, a somewhat true story. I mean, the story's all made up, but the context is real. Like, this league did exist, but all the story is
yes. My wife actually met a player from this league.
Wow.
When she was little. Yeah. During her like softball practice, she met this person. She spoke at one of her games.
That's cool.
Yeah. Not from this team. I don't know if this team's real.
I think it was. I think the teams in this movie were all real. I also know that there was someone named Dottie something.
Ensign?
Who Dottie was based on.
Wow. Yeah. So what made these women so great in this movie, I think, is also that they were covering so many different themes, like so many different situations that women have to deal with through different people.
Yeah. Agreed.
They covered everything. Like, it was insane.
Like being a single mother.
Yeah. Being valued on your appearance, being in a terrible relationship because of low self-worth, like expectations from society in general, how they're treated like objects. It's just like, it goes on and on. Giving up their own dreams to support men, like.
Right. And and that's stuff that still, unfortunately, exists today. Like, this movie still feels relevant. And I think that's why, it felt relevant in the 90s, even though it's set in the 40s. This movie came out in 92. I think even though these specific struggles maybe aren't necessarily the same, women do face these exact same types of issues now. So, like, it's unfortunate that 80 years have passed since this movie was set.
Yeah.
And there's still so much that's relatable. But I think that's part of what makes this movie so timeless, even though at this point this movie's 30 years old.
It's just like, it's almost like it felt like a parody of a movie, how ridiculous it was, but it was so real. Like, how misogynistic everyone was. Like, Gina Davis's Dottie's doing super good, and the announcer starts going up and is like, "Oh, this baseball, like, Tom Hanks character is coaching really well." Like,
right?
I'm like, what?
Like, he's asleep. He's drunk
he's
and
literally
asleep.
sleeping.
Which, by the way, no matter what the job is, you can't just show up visibly drunk and fall asleep immediately on the first day of the job and not get fired.
I mean, you probably can if you're a celebrity.
I guess that's true. Yeah, he's a celebrity in this movie. That's true.
I mean,
he's
we
like
are
a big deal.
We are coming off of Will Smith smacking the hell out of Chris Rock.
That's true. This is coming out a couple weeks later, but as we're recording this, that just happened. Will Smith just smacked Chris Rock across the face mere days ago.
We're watching the aftermath right now unfold.
But it's true. I mean, clearly celebrities are held to a very different standard. Where I could not walk on stage at any award ceremony and slap someone in the face and just sit back down and win an award. But, celebrities can do that. What did you think of the extended piss scene in this movie? Where Tom Hanks just pisses for a full minute.
Yeah, so Tom Cruise walks into the ladies' room.
Nope.
I did that one on purpose because Tom Cruise walked into the ladies' room in Top Gun.
That's true. Yeah, he did. Oh, yeah. Wow. Parallels.
So Tom Hanks walks into the women's locker room.
Yep.
How did I feel about it? I felt everything about Tom Hanks' character in this movie was well done. I thought it served a purpose in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I my note said that I thought it was a fun scene. I was like, that was the scene where I was like, I don't know why I thought this movie was going to be boring. I just watched someone piss for a full minute, and this was before Austin Powers, by the way.
That's most of the movies you watch.
Austin Powers has this almost exact same gag where Austin Powers comes out of being cryogenically frozen or whatever and just pees for a minute.
Oh, I mean, we have established also that Mike Myers steals everything. So
yeah, exactly. He was angry that this movie stole some of Wayne's World's thunder in '92, and he stole this. I have no idea, but yeah, I thought that was fun. Apparently, also some trivia about that scene. Penny Marshall, the director of this movie, was in a stall with a hose. Doing the sound effect for that scene so that no one in the room knew when Tom Hanks was actually going to finish peeing, including Tom Hanks. He was listening to the director, pour water into a toilet and then acting off of that.
Wow. Like a scene
she
from
just
Whose
kept
Line?
It going.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah. But I agree, like Tom Hanks, there were a lot of great details about him and his character, like the fact that when we first see him, he's got like a little piece of like toilet paper
I wrote that down. I'm like,
on
he's got a
on his
piece of toilet
face
paper.
where he cut himself shaving. Yeah. Like it's a great way to just show you that this guy doesn't have himself together, even though he might be wearing a nice suit and be a celebrity or whatever. Like he doesn't have his shit together at all.
No.
So another interesting thing comparing this movie to Wayne's World is that this movie is rated PG and Wayne's World is rated PG-13, but they came out the exact same year. And this movie has the word shit in it twice. There are tons of sexual jokes.
Yeah, which...
Like, I don't understand what is different about this movie and Wayne's World, except maybe that Mike Myers, like, shows a lot of his butt in that scene when he's dancing around in his tiny
Well, hold on, because this is really important question I have written down real big, and it's important for this right now.
Yep.
Did Madonna blow that priest?
Okay. Yeah. I couldn't tell if... I think the implication was just that her confession was so hot that the priest was, like, sweating. Not that she was doing anything to the priest, like through a glory hole or something. Like there was a glory hole in the confession booth, and he's covered in sweat.
Yeah, very surprised. I don't know what happened in there. I can't say for sure.
It's true. It could be a glory hole situation, or it could be she just tantalized him into getting all sweaty.
Wow.
But yeah, I agree. I mean, that is a great example of a scene that, like, how is this movie rated PG?
Yeah, and then there's that freaking little kid who's driving Dottie and is like...
Yeah. Who wants to get slapped around?
Climb in the back seat and make me a man.
I love that. He's like this, like, 15-year-old kid who just, like, chauffeurs Dottie around, and he's like, oh, you want to fuck? And she's like, how about I slap you around? And he's like, can't we do both?
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This movie is genuinely funny. Like, that made me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
You know?
Man, everything was still well. That little kid.
Yeah.
Pudgy little kid running
Little
around the bus with chocolate all over his mouth. I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah. He makes the bus driver storm off.
Who throws a pile of dirt at that woman? Did you see that?
Yeah, I was like, she comes back and her face is all covered in dirt and everything. That poor woman, too. Like, she gets poisoned, right? It's like she's vomiting profusely. She gets dirt thrown in her face.
Tom
Hanks. Tom Hanks, like, forcibly kisses her. And then he, like, smacks her ass later against her will. Like, that woman, it just deals with so much bullshit. I feel so bad for her.
Wow. They all do.
It's true, but especially that one.
That one, yes.
Yeah.
I will say this movie is more of a war movie than Top Gun was.
I agree. The war actually, like, had an impact on the story.
It does in such a depressing way. Like,
I know. Betty Spaghetti.
Betty
her husband
Spaghetti.
got Betty.
Oh, man.
You want to hear a little trivia about this movie?
Yeah, hit me with it.
You got something else?
Nope. Hit me with some trivia about this movie.
All right. Totally unprompted. I will give you some trivia.
Why don't you give me some trivia?
You know what, Michael? I would love to give you some trivia about this film.
All right.
This feature film.
All right, hit me with some trivia.
All right. So all of the women in this movie were required to prove that they could play baseball as part of their auditions for the role. So everyone in this movie can actually play baseball, and not only can they, but they do throughout the whole movie. Gina Davis was the only actress who had a stunt double at any point, and the only reason she did was because she couldn't slide into the splits and catch that ball. Like, she could do the splits and catch the ball, but she couldn't slide into the split. So she had to have a stunt double.
It wasn't enough.
Yeah. But Gina Davis still did, 90% of her own stunts. And the whole movie is just all of these actresses just actually, sliding into these bases and getting hurt horribly. And the injuries that you see in the movie are all real, including that giant horrible, awful bruise you see on that woman's thigh at one point. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was real. And apparently it took over a year for it to heal.
My Lord, what happened?
She was just like sliding into a base and hit a rock or something.
Oh, I thought some dude probably just came up and smacked her on the ass.
Yeah, Tom Hanks came up and assaulted her like he did to that other woman.
I assumed someone was getting assaulted. There's a brief moment in this movie where, because this movie wasn't about women of color at all, there was a brief moment where like she catches the ball and throws it back, and I'm like, this is a nod to women of color. This is all they could do.
Woman. Yeah.
I know.
There's one black woman in this movie. She picks up a ball and silently throws it like perfectly back to Gina Davis and then nods. And it's like, okay, so historically, this league did not allow anyone who wasn't white into it. So I get why they didn't include it. Also, it's funny, in the intro of this, I guessed that Whoopi Goldberg was in this movie. She's not.
That wasn't Whoopi throwing that ball?
No. Damn. She was doing Sister Act this year in 92.
92.
But, you know, I guess I was thinking, too, like, you know, this movie is only loosely based on true events. Like, it just is like that league was real and Dottie was real. But outside of that, all of the story is made up. Like, why couldn't this have been desegregated? Because, like, Major League men's baseball was desegregated by this time. So, you know, just take a little, you know, revisionist history approach to it and just, like, add in a couple people of color. It's not that hard.
But is that that might be erasing the whole issue of the segregation of it. Like, nodding to it the way they did is kind of like acknowledging that, you know, women have it so bad at this time, but oh hey, like women of color, they're not even here.
Yeah,
like
that's true. Although, if that were what the movie were trying to do, I would have liked them to grapple with it a little more.
Yeah, maybe just talk about it,
like a silent nod.
Yeah,
from a black character who doesn't speak. You want to hear more trivia?
Yeah, hit me with another piece of trivia.
So.
Trivia, please.
When they were filming the World Series stuff, the sort of like end of the movie game, the stars of the movie all took turns entertaining the crowd because it was a bunch of unpaid extras in the stands who were just there, you know, to see the movie get filmed. So Tom Hanks did puppet shows for the audience.
Oh, I love it.
And Rosie O'Donnell did stand-up for them. And then the other actors pretended to be Madonna and performed Madonna's songs live because Madonna refused to perform for anybody.
No way.
Yeah, she was like a diva about it, didn't want to do it. She balked at the idea of performing for extras. So the other actors were just like, all right, we'll go out and pretend to be Madonna.
Wow. That's nuts.
Actually, Madonna apparently was awful to a lot of people especially in this one town they filmed in called Evansville, Indiana.
Sounds like a place.
Yeah. It's a place, all right.
Yeah.
But her reputation is still tarnished in that town because, like, they just were like, yeah, fuck Madonna. She stayed here in a hotel and she was awful. And, like, she has also talked about how she hates that town in interviews. Wow. It's, like, become a beef between Evansville, Indiana, and Madonna.
I love it. Do you think we can get them both on the show to settle the score?
I would love to squash the beef between Madonna and Evansville, Indiana. Madonna, Evansville, Indiana, if you're listening, get in touch.
Wow.
We want to hear from you.
I'm pretty sure not only Madonna, but Evansville, Indiana would balk at the idea of coming on our podcast. And then we would have a beef with them.
There might be some rep from Evansville, Indiana who would like the publicity for their town. Who knows?
I'm glad someone's finally speaking up about Madonna.
Yep.
What about Bill Pullman?
Yeah, who has like one scene.
Yeah, well, no, he's up later. He says, "That's my wife." Supportive.
That's true. I read that he did this movie as a favor to Penny Marshall. So that makes sense to me now. Like, at first I was like, well, why is Bill Pullman in this? They could have cast like a crash test dummy or something. Like, he has like 2 lines of dialogue and 2 scenes.
He just like shows up out of nowhere with the cast on his leg after launching the largest aerial strike of the history of mankind. I don't know. Although that movie comes later.
Apparently Tom Hanks gained 30 pounds for this movie.
He looks so skinny.
I thought the same thing. I was like, what the fuck did he look like before?
Oh my God. What was
he just a skeleton? Like I don't understand what he could have looked like before this movie if he gained 30 pounds for it. Like, he didn't look overweight in any way to me.
Oh man, yeah, that's nuts.
It's even more shocking when you know that he gained weight for this role for the movie he did right after this.
Oh, what's the movie that came right after?
Philadelphia, where he
Wow.
plays a man dying of AIDS, and he lost like 30-something pounds for that role.
Wow. Well, he shouldn't have gained it for this movie.
I mean, he was Christian Bale before Christian Bale did it. So I guess now we should get into the ratings for this movie.
Rate and run.
Wrap this baby up.
Wrap it up.
What's your rating for this movie, Mike?
Oh, I'm
what
going
did you
first?
think? Yeah, what's your overall feeling about this movie and what you would rate it on a scale from 1 to 10?
Or
0.
Explain our point system a little bit. Do we do decimals? Is there half points?
No, I don't like decimals.
Ooh, that's tough. Here's where I'm.
Yep.
Here's where I'm at. It's an 8 or a 9, but I want to put it above Speed.
Yeah, I can't argue.
So I guess it's 9.
Mike, I will tell you right now, I also gave this movie a 9 out of 10.
Wow,
I think this is the best movie we've covered so far.
it is surprisingly because we didn't want to watch it.
I had probably the least interest in this movie aside from Top Gun. And this movie absolutely blew me away. I didn't think I was going to like it at all, and I loved it more than anything we've talked about on this podcast.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm glad that you agree. I wasn't sure if you were going to or not. In fact, we're recording this episode a little early because I texted Mike that I watched this movie early.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Good thing you texted me.
Yeah, it's a good thing I texted. You know, I wanted to talk about this movie because I had just watched like the best movie that we covered so far. And I just I couldn't tip my hand, but I was just like, boy, we got to talk about this thing, 'cause I loved it.
Wow. Do we have a scoreboard?
Scoreboard?
Yeah.
No, but we probably should start keeping track of these.
I'll make you guys a scoreboard.
Well, we both loved this movie, but what are we going to be covering next?
Well, that brings up a very interesting point, Greg, because next episode, we're breaking format.
What?
Yep.
I need my format, Mike.
I know.
need it.
You're always about your formats. So
Oh, God.
we're bringing in a special guest onto the show.
Yeah.
All right.
Our good friend.
Our good friend, Ray Olson.
He knows so much about movies.
So much. More than anyone I know.
He has like an encyclopedic knowledge of movies, and he has seen every single one that's ever been made.
Yeah, so you might be wondering how we're going to do this episode. And that is, we find the most obscure-ass movie that Ray has not seen, and we're going to watch it. It might not be as big in a movie that you recognize, but you should watch along with us.
In fact, you will definitely have never heard of it.
Yeah, definitely have never heard of it. But
that's because, that's what we need to find for Ray. But you're going to absolutely love the hidden gem we've picked out for you.
Love it. Oh my God. So this is a movie that somehow, like when I met Greg, we brought up this movie from our childhood that's super obscure.
Yep.
And we're like the only other people that have seen this movie.
I have literally never met anybody except Mike who has seen this movie. And it was my favorite movie growing up. I've seen it probably like over 50 times.
Same. I have an action figure from this movie behind me. Let me tell you what the movie is. Yeah, I do. My favorite character from the movie. So,
wow.
Okay, I'm excited to tell you guys. It's called Warriors of Virtue.
Warriors of Virtue.
This is a movie about a boy who gets whisked away into a magical world full of kung fu kangaroos with magical powers.
Kung fu kangaroos. They're ruse, Mike.
Ruse.
Ruse.
That's about all that Ray knows about this movie as well. And I am excited. So excited that we're going to watch this movie.
I have so much to say about it already, and I haven't seen it in over a decade.
Oh, man. I have. I've rewatched this way too recently. Like,
I'm excited to have an excuse to rewatch it.
Oh, man. I've got it on DVD, man. I'm popping this one in.
I'm going to make Jeremy watch it, too. My boyfriend, who I've referenced a few times without saying who he is.
Oh, has he not seen it?
No, Mike, nobody has ever seen this movie.
Wow. I've already made Amelia watch this.
Then you, me, and Amelia are the only 3 people who have ever seen it.
Wow.
But soon to be
everyone who listens.
Jeremy, and soon to be Ray Olson, our guest on the next episode. And yeah, soon to be everyone who listens to this podcast.
Hopefully. If not, you're missing out.
Yeah, I will say it's worth a watch. But even if you don't watch it, you might still have a good time.
Agreed. All right. Well, it's been real. This episode's been great. Great movie. And as always, there's no crying on this podcast.
Culture Gap.
So long, milkmaids.